Okay, this lesson is called Factoring Perfect Cubes. All right, we just got finished learning how to factor a difference of squares. All right, now a difference of squares was two perfect squares and a minus sign. And that's what we did in our last lesson. All right, so this time we're going to factor perfect cubes. So you will have, first of all, a binomial. And you're going to have a plus or a minus. And cubes, that means you'll have perfect cubes for the numbers. And you'll have exponents that are multiples of 3. Okay, so the rules are, the first thing you're going to do, just as always, is you're going to factor your common factors out first, just like we have done. So that's our GCF step that we had the quiz on. All right, the second thing you're going to look at, you're going to decide, okay, well, is it a binomial or trinomial? Or does it have 4 terms? Okay, well, this time it's going to be a binomial. Okay, binomial, of course, is a polynomial that has 2 terms. Okay, the third thing that you're going to look for is each term must be a perfect cube. Okay, well, you're probably wondering, well, how am I going to know if it's a perfect cube or not? Well, I'm going to give you a list here of perfect cubes, and I'm also going to show you how to find those, so that way you can make your own list. When you take a quiz or whatever, you'll be able to make your own list. All right, so if you take 1 and you cube it, of course, that's 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. And if you take 2 and cube it, 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. 3 cubed, 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. All right, and then I'll just list the rest from here. 4 cubed would be 64. 5 cubed would be 125. All right, we're going to go up to about 10. 6 cubed would be 216. 7 cubed is 343. 8 cubed is 512. 9 cubed is 729. And 10 cubed is 1000. Now, I don't know if you'll have numbers any bigger than that or not, but that's just some. And of course, you know that it continues forever, so you can do more if you need to. All right, now your exponents, and I just kind of mentioned this a second ago, your exponents have to be multiples of 3. Okay, so we're going to write exponents have to be multiples of 3. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that it either has to be a 3, a 6, a 9, a 12, a 15, an 18, and on up as far as you can go. All right, so those are examples of multiples of 3. All right, so these are the things that you're going to be looking for. Okay, so let's look at this first one. Now, these two here are actually the formula that you're going to use, because this does come out to be a formula. When we did difference of squares, we said that we would factor it by square, square, and put a minus sign in between. All right, well, this time you're going to have, and I usually just say it this way, you're going to have a little parentheses, and you're going to have a big parentheses. Okay, the little parentheses is going to have 2 blanks to fill in, and the big is going to have 3. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do both of these, so I'm going to put a little big for each one of those. Okay? All right, now this is what you do. The very first thing you do is you check to see if you have any common factors. Okay, well, this does not. So you write common factors, no. All right, now we're focusing on perfect cubes. So we're going to check for perfect cubes and a plus or a minus. All right, so we have a binomial. It has a perfect cube because this is a multiple of 3 and this is a multiple of 3. And this one has a plus sign. Okay, so this is what you're going to do. You're going to take the cube root of the a cubed. Okay, so if I take cube root of a cubed, that 3 goes into that 3 one time, so you know you just get a. Then you're going to take the cube root of the b cubed. Well, we know that's just going to be b. Now this is a plus sign, so this has to come here and put a plus sign in the middle of those two. Okay, now to get this big parentheses, you're going to take the a, which you just found, and you're going to square it. To get the last blank, you're going to take the b and you're going to square it. All right, so let's do that. So we're going to square the a, so that's going to be a squared. We're going to square the b, and that's going to be b squared. And this is going to be a positive. And I'm going to give you a little thing to help you remember your signs in just a couple of minutes. Okay, the last thing that you have to do is the middle. Now, we're used to square, square, multiply, and double. Well, this is just going to be square, square, and multiply, and change the sign. So now we're going to multiply the two terms here. So we're going to say multiply, and then we're going to change the sign. Okay, so if I multiply a times b, that's just ab. Well, that would be positive ab. So positive a times positive b is positive ab. But wait, it says to change the sign. So I'm going to make it negative ab. Okay, and now that is the factorization of a cubed plus b cubed. All right, well, a cubed minus b cubed is going to be done the same way. Okay, so we're going to take the cube root of a cubed, and it's going to go here. That's going to be a. The cube root of b cubed, and that's going to be b. This is a minus, so this is a minus. So this sign in this first small parentheses is the same exact sign that you have on your problem. Okay? All right, then I'm going to get the first blank and the last blank of the big parentheses. So I'm going to take the a and I'm going to square it. So that's going to be a squared. I'm going to take the b and I'm going to square it. That's going to be b squared with a plus sign. So positive b squared. All right, now you have to multiply a times b. Well, a times b is negative ab. But what did I say do? Change it to positive ab. Okay, so that is the general rule. Both of these would be the general rule that you will follow for perfect cubes. Okay, now I'm going to give you a little help. If you will use this S-O-A-P, this is going to be a way that you can remember what your signs are going to be. Okay? All right, the first sign that you have is always the same. The second sign that you have is the opposite. And the last sign that you have is always positive. So it's soap. Same, opposite, always positive. Same, opposite, always positive. Same, opposite, always positive. Okay, well, it's opposite of what? It's opposite of whatever this was. Okay, opposite of this sign. Okay, so now let's do number 7, 8, and 9. These are pretty simple. They shouldn't give you too much trouble. All right, so we're going to check to see if we have a common factor. So that would be a no. Common factor is a no. All right, then we're going to check for perfect cubes, okay, because that's the lesson that we're on. We're checking for perfect cubes. Okay, this is a perfect cube because it's a 3. It's got to be a multiple of 3. And this here is a perfect cube because it's a perfect cube on our cube list that we made just a minute ago. All right, and of course this is a minus. So since these are perfect cubes and it's a binomial, I'm going to write a little and a big. This is going to be 2 blanks. This is going to be 3, and I'm just going to fill in the blanks. All right, so the cube root of x cubed is just x. The cube root of 27 is just 3. All right, this is going to be the same same sign as this. So I'm going to put a minus. All right, to get the first parentheses, you square the x. To get the last parentheses, you square the 3, or the negative 3. So that's negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9. And then you multiply and change the sign. So this is going to be negative 3x, but we're going to change it to positive 3x. Then we're going to use SOAP and see if our signs are right. All right, so this is a negative, so this is the same. The next one should be opposite of that. This is opposite. The last one should be always positive, and we are correct. All right, number 8. Number 8 does not have a common factor. Okay, cube, cube, cube. This time the only difference is it's a plus. Okay, so we're going to have a little and a big. 2 blanks, 3 blanks. First 2 blanks, cube root of x cubed will just be x. Cube root of 27 is 3. Cube root of y cubed is y. The same sign as we start with. Same. All right, the blanks in the big parentheses, we're going to take x and we're going to square it. We're going to take 3y and we're going to square it. So 3 squared would be 9. Y squared would be y squared, positive. Then we're going to multiply. That would be 3xy. And we're going to change the sign to make it negative 3xy. All right, number 9. Do we have a common factor? No, we do not have a common factor. Do we have perfect cubes? This is, and the cube root of 125, if you remember, it was 5. Okay, so we have a little and a big. 2 blanks, 3 blanks. Cube root of x cubed is x. Cube root of 125 is 5. The same sign as we start with. Okay, we're going to square the x. We get x squared. We're going to square the 5. We get positive 25. We're going to multiply. We get 5x, but we're going to change it to negative 5x. So let's check the last two and make sure our signs are right. So it should be the same, then opposite, then always positive. Should be the same, then opposite, and always positive. Okay, so that's our first 5-minute check on this. It was 5-minute check number 16. So now we're going to go ahead and look at the next 5-minute check. Okay, now these are a little more involved, but they're not too hard. I'm going to actually change number 4 and 5 to pluses because I don't know why, but I got in the habit of writing minus for some reason. So let's change number 4 and 5 to plus. Okay, number 1, factoring perfect cubes. We're going to check for common factors. If you use your greatest common factor in your calculator if you need to, this did not have a greatest common factor, so common factors would be no. Okay, they are perfect cubes. This would be a 3, this would be an x, this would be a 2, this would be a y. So it's going to be a little and a big. This time we just have a little bit more numbers and we have another variable. So first thing you do is you take the cube root of 27 and x cubed. That's going to be 3x. The cube root of 8 is going to be a 2. And the cube root of y cubed, which is going to be y. And this sign has to be the same. Okay, so we're going to have 3 blanks here. So you're going to take your first term, which is 3x, and you're going to square it. You have to square both parts, so that's going to be 9x squared. You're going to take your negative 2y and you're going to square it. That's going to be positive 4y squared. And then you're going to multiply. Well, when you multiply, you get negative 6xy. And you're going to write positive 6xy. So let's see. This is the same. This is the opposite. And this is always positive. So our signs are correct. Okay, number 2 on this 5-minute check. All right, we're going to look for the greatest common factor. So if you have your calculator and you want to find the greatest common factor, all right, this would be a 2. So it does have a common factor. It does not have an x or a y though, so our common factor is 2. Okay, so that's the first thing we have to do. We have to factor out a 2 first. Okay, so let's bring out a 2. So that means you're dividing both of those by 2. So that's going to make it 8x to the 6 minus 125 y to the 9th. Okay, so now is when you check to see if they are perfect cubes. Okay, so perfect cubes, that would be a 2. Cube root of 8 would be a 2. 3 does go into 6. Cube root of 125 is a 5, and 3 does go into 9. So this is a little bit harder because we don't have just a 3 as an exponent. We have a multiple of 3. Okay, so the answer is yes for everything. So you bring down your common factor, and we have learned that in our other videos. We write a little and a big, and we're going to fill it up. So we have 2 blanks and 3 blanks. The first blank is going to be the cube root of the 8, which would be 2, the cube root of x to the 6. All you want to do is take the 6 and divide it by 3. So 6 divided by 3 is going to be x to the 2nd. So you get the cube root of 125. Cube root of 125 is going to be 5. You take the 9, divide it by 3, and you will get a y to the 3rd. And this is a minus, so remember it has to be the same. Okay? You could actually go ahead and fill your other signs in. So this is the same. This is going to be opposite, and this is going to be our always positive. So if you want to do that, you can. All right, so how am I going to get the first blank and the last blank? Remember, you have to square. Okay, so now we're going to square the 2, which we would get a 4, and we're going to square the x squared. Well, that's just multiplying that squared by 2. So it's going to be x to the 4th. All right, to get the last term, you square negative 5. That gave us a positive 25. And I'm going to square that y to the 3rd. So just multiply it by 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. So that'd be y to the 6. Okay? Now, you multiply and change the sign. So when I multiply, 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. But I've also got x squared and y to the 3rd. So you can't forget those. So then we're going to change it. We don't write negative 10. We write the opposite of negative 10. And that would be our answer. Okay, number 3. Does it have a common factor? No. Are they perfect cubes? Yes. Cube root of 216 on our list a minute ago, we found out that was 6. Okay, so automatic. We looked for common factor. We did not have one. We have a little and a big. Cube root of a cubed. A. We just talked about cube root of 216 is 6. Same sign. The next sign should be opposite sign. The last sign should be always positive. Okay, so how do I get the first blank? I square the A. How do I get the last blank? I square the 6. Then I'm going to multiply, which gives me negative 6a, but I'm going to write positive 6a. Okay, number 4. Well, these are going along pretty fast. Okay, number 4, we look for our common factor. Well, I see that 8 goes into 64, so I know I have a common factor of an 8. But I don't have any letters that are common, so that's the only thing that's common. So we're going to bring out an 8. So that's the first thing we'll do. We'll divide that by 8 and that by 8. So we have an 8. And then this is going to make this an a to the 3rd. This is going to make this an 8b to the 6th. Okay, so then we're going to check for perfect cubes. We do have perfect cubes. This would be 3 does go into 3. 3 does go into 6. This is a perfect cube is 8. It's going to be the cube root of that would be 2. Okay, so we'll have an 8 and we'll have a little and a big. Okay, so the cube root of a cubed is a. The cube root of 8 is 2. The cube root of b to the 6th, remember cube root divided by 3, that'll be b to the 2nd. Same sign. Opposite sign. Always positive. Okay, So square the a squared, square the 2 and the b squared, so that'll be 4b to the 4th. Multiply, you get 2ab squared, and change the sign would make it negative 2ab squared. Okay, last one. We're going to look for a common factor. Common factor would be 5. Okay, so 5 goes into both. We're going to bring out a 5. All right, 5 divided into both. 40 over 5, that would be an 8x to the 3rd. And then 5 over 5 is just 1. Are they perfect cubes? Yes, that would be a 2. Yes, and yes, that would be a 1. So that's going to turn into a little and a big. Cube root of 8 and x cubed would be a 2 and an x. You're going to write the same sign. The cube root of 1 is just 1. Then you're going to square 2 and x, so that's 4x squared. You're going to square 1, that's going to be 1. You're going to multiply, that's going to be 2x, and you're going to change the sign to negative 2x, and always positive. So this was your lesson on perfect cubes. You need to work on the next 5-minute check that goes with that. And we have one more type of problem to factor, and that would just be regular trinomials that have no tricks.